I wanted to follow up on the story of the paper by Jessica Rose and Peter McCullough on myocarditis following COVID vaccination. People who watched last week will remember that this paper had passed peer review and was headed towards publication when the Elsevier journal, the cardiology journal, replaced the preprint of the paper with a note saying that it had been temporarily moved and that if it was not fully restored, the new version of the paper would contain an explanation of why it was temporarily removed. And we pointed out how unusual this was. This wasn't a paper being rejected because of some issue. The authors were literally not told what the problem was. That was highly unusual. And in any case, it suggested some kind of behind-the-scenes shenanigans that we are left to guess at. And of course, on a topic where we are told there's a scientific consensus and you should follow it. And the answer is, well, why is there a scientific consensus? Here's a paper that ran against that consensus, and suddenly mysterious things are happening to it. And I must say, many people wagged their finger at me when I tweeted about this and said, you're imagining things. Stuff goes on all the time with papers. There's a problem with this, that, or the other. It all turns out to be nonsense. And what has happened in the intervening week?
What has happened in the intervening week?
What has happened in the intervening week?
Aren't
Zach,
you glad I asked?
Yeah, I am glad you asked. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Zach, do you want to put up it's a letter to Peter McCullough in which the journal is explaining that, in fact, they have rejected this paper. Now, rejecting a paper is not so unusual, but rejecting a paper after you have accepted a paper is unusual. No explanation is given for why this has taken place. And what happens is that the journal is simply asserting that they have the right to do this.
Yes, there's no explanation.
Right.
So for those who are...
You want to read it?
God, I hate reading things. I mean, people are going to be looking at my nose here. I hate that the screen is way up there.
You can get them to close their eyes.
Dear Dr. McCullough, this is dated October 21st. Thank you for your email of 15th of October. I am afraid that the journal is not willing to publish the paper. We do not agree that there has been any sort of breach here. The publishing agreement that was signed, attached, contains the following clause which makes it clear that articles may be rejected at a late stage in the publication process. The editor's decision to reject the paper is final and all rights have reverted to you so that you are free to submit the paper to another journal. And the paragraph on reversion of rights reads, articles may sometimes be accepted for publication, but later rejected in the publication process, even in some cases after public posting in articles in press form, in which case all rights will revert to the author. See link. Yours sincerely, Diana.
So again, I just want to emphasize how unusual it is for no reason to be given. Right? It definitely suggests that something has happened behind the scenes, and in light of the contentious nature of the phenomena in question, it appears to be the construction of the appearance of consensus by the targeting of anything that goes in the other direction.
I mean, among other things, as deeply flawed as peer review is, had this paper been rejected at peer review, the authors would have been given the 3 sets of comments by the peer reviewers, and they may have been banal and cryptic and uninformative, but there would have been something there. And some justification is required when a peer reviewer says, no, I don't think you should publish this paper. So here we had 2 or 3 peer reviewers who said, yes, publish. The journal published and then pulled it. And there's not even any information that would be found in, largely not very useful negative peer review. There's nothing. I've actually, just as you said last week, never heard of anything like this. Now, I'm not in the weeds on peer review and journals at this point, but I was for many years. And this strikes me as extraordinarily unusual.
Right. So I would point out, I accidentally borrowed a phrase from Eric that I didn't realize I had borrowed at the time, but the phrase is follow the silence. And in this case, this is a clear example. What you've got now is an absent journal article, right? A journal article that points in the direction of a pathology following on from vaccination that is worth knowing about. Obviously, whether or not to mandate vaccines would require a cost-benefit analysis, which would require us to know what the harms are, to be able to calibrate how common they are, how serious they are, all of these things. It requires this evaluation. And so, in any case, what I would say is it is intolerable that thoroughly qualified scientists and doctors are having publications that have passed peer review, that have done everything correctly, eliminated from the record before they even emerge without explanation. So we can't even evaluate for ourselves whether or not this journal has made some discovery that's important about this publication or not. Presumably it hasn't, or it would have said what the problem was. In any case, I think the point is, read the books that they want to burn, right? That's the way that we win against the censorship. Read the books that they want to burn, right? Seek out the stuff that they don't want you to see. Talk to the people that you're supposed to not listen to, right? That is the way to figure out whether there is something there of importance or whether it truly is nothing.